Okay, so I finally found a scenic place to start recording, and it stopped raining, and it's pretty, and I found my headphones so the audio quality won't be shit because the car is loud. I am here to do a long-distance rant about the current state of things and the whole Capitol siege, I guess you could say. So everyone pretty much knows what happened. Probably out of context because they watch mainstream news, but a bunch of Trump supporters basically gathered in D.C. for a protest, which was mostly peaceful. But like any large group of people, there was a handful of idiots, and they stormed the Capitol, and they occupied it for like half a day. And there was some violence and some destruction of property, but it was government property. It doesn't make it right, but I want to address the hypocrisies with the left and how they're hypocrites every fucking time, and I fucking can't stand it. And if you don't like swearing, you better click off now, because I don't think I can contain myself. I don't really care what the YouTube algorithm does to my video. I just need to get this out because it's festering, and I'm talking to myself on this long drive, and it's painful, really. But so the left, of course, when BLM and Antifa are rioting, they say that it's justified, and they say stupid shit like, oh, well, property can be replaced, lives can't, ha 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 ha. This is different because BLM was protesting something that actually had a cause. They were protesting human rights and racism. What if I told you that BLM is a fucking sham, and it's been proven, and I have a video that I made myself analyzing the data that BLM is lies. Like, black people are not irregularly, disproportionately targeted by police in terms of the death ratio. Like, if you look at white deaths and black deaths in police encounters, they're both 0.12%. 0.12, exactly. Like, if you go to the third decimal, okay, the white deaths are 0.128, and the blacks, I believe, are 0.125. Or that could be reversed. The point is, if you actually look at deaths out of police arrests and encounters, it's the fucking same, and there is no disparities. So, first of all, BLM is protesting based on lies. And, let's see. Also, the funny thing is BLM and Antifa, they were rioting and destroying private property, small businesses, big businesses, people's livelihoods, their possessions, their cars. They were destroying civilian property. And the only thing I can agree with them is, assuming that their accusation of police targeting blacks was, not a lie, at one point they occupied a police station. And that's kind of what you want to do if there's like a political problem, is occupy the government buildings, not destroy them now, just occupy them as a statement, sure, but not destroy them. And they're actually criticizing the right for going in the government building like this is some horrible thing, when, out of thousands and thousands of people, it was actually peaceful. Like, for real, it was mostly peaceful if you look at the other videos. But BLM and Antifa, they aren't mostly peaceful. I don't know who the fuck. People keep saying this on my feed. Oh, it's mostly peaceful. It's mostly peaceful. No. And even if it was, you should take accountability for your own people that you decided to align yourself with and disavow the violence, like you keep telling the right to do. But you don't, because you're hypocrites. And there were deaths in the Capitol siege thing. And in fact, one of them was an unarmed citizen killed by a cop. Someone said it was a black cop. I do not have any sources on that, but it would add to the irony. But nobody's going to be saying her name or protesting, because they're probably going to say she deserved it, even though she was unarmed and actually not doing anything. And also, people are saying that there was no rubber bullets or tear gas and stuff, but if you watch personal account videos, which you won't because you're probably all going to discount them as conspiracy theories, they were actually fighting some of the protesters. There were the videos of cops ushering people in peacefully. That was kind of weird. But they most certainly did use force on these people. Hence, that one lady fucking dying. But I guess that facts don't matter. And I also want to talk about the fact that, God, I got 3 blocks in one day. I think I'm on a fucking record. One was some girl I went to elementary school with. And I tried to, unbiased, I have the receipts if anybody wants them. I always keep the receipts, as you know. But one girl, she posted a Instagram story, and it was a picture of somebody confronting her and calling her out and saying, like, there were black people at this protest. What are you talking about? And he was a little more brash than I was, but of course she dismissed him, and ain't nobody got time for that kind of thing. And I am assuming he got blocked, or she. I don't know what their gender was. So I decided, fuck it, So I messaged her, and so politely, I'm like, I'm just really actually curious, genuine about your opinion on the POC protesters and Trump supporters. And she just blocked me. Like, these people don't want discourse. They don't want to hear the other side. They don't care. They don't want to make change. They want to sit there behind their keyboard and live in their little hug box, in their little echo chambers. And the second person who blocked me was actually an influencer. Her name is Glitter and Lasers. She's some fat positive blogger on YouTube, and she has an Instagram account. And I don't remember what it was, but I think it had to do with BLM or something. And I was very gentle about it. Like, hey, I have a source if you'd be interested. Here's this video I made about, the statistics being actually that there is no disproportionate killing of blacks versus whites in police. And she blocked me and discredited the video as some random YouTuber, and because it was a small channel, but it doesn't matter how big the YouTuber was or what the source was. And then she said something about her being a statistician or whatever, and that I was wrong, even though she never bothered to click it or take my opinion in. And yeah, she blocked me. And the third person was someone very close to me, and that was hilarious. I actually don't remember what started that debate. It was either me saying LOL on her picture of, there was one of the photos of someone in the Capitol building on a chair or something, and then she captioned it with what was it? Shameful. And I think I put LOL. But I know she did reply to one of my stories talking about it, and I think that, I have to go back and look, but the point is she replied to the story, and it got into the same cycle of me being some crazy Trump supporter, and I kept telling her, like, and she's like, oh, well, what's the evidence of fraud again? And I told her, and I sent her a video and an image with, like, the irregular election numbers. And of course, this person discredited it and threw it out the window and labeled it as a conspiracy. These people do not want discourse. They do not want to hear the other side, as much as they say that they will hear the other side and they know the other arguments. They cannot give examples. All they can do is strawman you and use ad hominem attacks and basically bullshit. And this person ended up blocking me, but actually what's funny is they said they blocked me. So I'm like, okay, whatever, they don't care about me. I'm going to put this conversation up. So of course I cropped out all the names, whatever. It's just the conversation. And I guess they saw that and they're like, oh, wow, you're real mature. You're posting conversations. What is that, to get pity? It's like, no, I have a collection of this. I've been doing this for years, where when I get into arguments with, like, leftists or even far-right people, that I'll post the conversations to showcase their continuous pattern of fallacious arguments and just pettiness. Like, you could say it's petty to post a conversation, but I just keep it as evidence to show that all these people act the same. You politely go at a conversation and try to get answers out of them, and they just block you. And I figure, like, a lot of people will ask me, oh, Jacko, don't you think you should maybe tone down the political posts because you're losing friends? Maybe you're the common denominator. I'm like, I really don't care, because friends don't unadd you over politics. They were never your friend if they're going to unadd you over politics. And this person actually had the gall to be like, it's not about politics, proceeds to list a bunch of political arguments that we've gotten into. Like, it's absolutely about politics, because you don't, otherwise you wouldn't have unfriended me. And like, it's funny because I was very close to this person in a way, but in hindsight, we didn't really have anything in common. and it's just kind of sad. And I have this actual conspiracy theory that they were only nice to me because they thought I was retarded. And I'm not using that to disparage mentally impaired people. I think they actually thought I was severely autistic or something, and they pity liked me. And it's I lost all respect for you. It's I really don't care because you never had any respect for me to begin with. And another thing is, I'm not going to change who I am just for other people so I can be liked. If my friendship with you is dependent upon me living up to your standards of what's right, then bye, because that's not friendship. So yeah, and it's really insulting because a lot of leftists and liberals will say their opinions, and their little groups will applaud them for being brave, for standing up for what they believe in. But as soon as someone who's in the center or on the right does that, then they're annoying, and their political opinions are stupid, and they're right-wingers, and they're Trump supporters, and come on. I'm not gonna, you're told from a young age not to do what society wants, right? Oh, be yourself, right? Yeah, be yourself until you're not liked by people because you're yourself. Come on. It's one or the other. Be yourself or be a fake hoe so you're liked by people. I don't care about being liked, I care about being true. And that sounds cheesy, but it's true. And I'm sure there's some dumbass out there who's gonna come in and say oh, well, it's fine to have your opinions, just don't put them online or say them. It's basically yeah, I'll be your friend as long as you shut up and and act the way I want you to. Fuck you. Because every time I would try to discourse with these people, I would put all this effort into an argument, into a rebuttal, and they would just discredit it with oh, that's conspiracy, or oh, but black people have suffered for so long. I'm yeah, but here's the evidence to support that you're wrong. And they would just keep spouting. I analogate it, is that a word? I have an analogy where they have a deck of cards basically, and you put all this effort into your argument, make sure there's no fallacies, make sure you have your facts straight, make sure you have your sources, and they pick a card off the top and they throw it at you, and it's oh, well, here's the evidence that BLM actually is just funneling all their money to Democratic parties. Okay, let's choose a card here. You're racist because you're here's another card. Privileged and white. They don't have arguments. It's just so fucking frustrating because all these people, they virtue signal. All they do is fucking virtue signal and trip over their own arguments, and it's embarrassing. How can you stand there and say that some people occupying a government building for half a day is worse than people burning down cities and all the black-owned businesses that were in the cities? But no, this was worse. No, I don't think that a single person was hurt inside of that building. I don't think there was any civilian private property damaged, not that I know of. I don't think these people clashed with anyone just because they disagreed with them. In fact, I do kind of believe the theory that some of these people were Antifa that had dressed up as Trump supporters and led this mob, because mob mentality is real. I don't doubt for a second that most of the people that stormed the Capitol were in fact Trump supporters. I don't doubt that at all. But I think a lot of them were also Antifa, because there's a video, you can hear them shouting no Antifa, no, as they're breaking windows. And it's if I was there, I would at least try to fucking denounce it, but you can't really do anything in a mob situation. But it's just totally embarrassing, honestly, that something as simple as a protest like that is denounced as terrorism when you have actual domestic terror. Do you know what terrorism means? It's using fear and intimidation for political gain. Okay? Usually Occupy movements, from what I understand, is you occupy something, you basically hold it hostage, not in a violent way, you just occupy it, that's it, until someone listens to you. and then that's how that works. And I don't think any of these people were armed. I don't know. I'm sure some of them were. There was reports of pipe bombs and stuff that they had to be disarmed, which is, I'm against that. I'm against all the violence. I'm fine if you're going to occupy a building for political, reasons. I don't care. I care about people getting hurt, people dying, people attacking others just because they believe something different. But I can't. And all these people saying, and by all these people I mean a handful of idiots that I've clashed with multiple times, saying that I'm a right-winger because I like Trump. Like, there's more to it than that. I have a lot of liberal beliefs. I totally support LGBT. I mean, I'm fucking a little hetero-flexible myself. I don't care if you're black, white, straight, okay, whatever. But the fact that I believe in equal consequences and equal treatment for people, somehow that makes me a right-winger. The same person that blocked me, that I had a lot of past, involvement with, they said I was a right-winger because I told them that you need to understand your opponent's argument before challenging it. Now, I'm not exaggerating this, again. I have the fucking receipts, because when I see stupidity on this level, I have to screenshot it and save it for later lulls. But there are no lulls, because people are actually this dumb. It's just it's like they survive on straw man. It's like, how am I wrong that you should understand your opponent's opinion before attacking it? And it stemmed from a pro-life, pro-choice argument where I'm like, pro-life people aren't pro-life because they want to control our bodies, right? There are female pro-life people, right? And they're like, oh my god, they didn't respond to my arguments, per usual. They just basically said, in fact, their word verbatim was yikes, when I told them that maybe you should, not misrepresent your opponent's opinion and position on something before you attack it. And I was basically telling them, if I lose my right to an abortion, it's going to be the left's fault. It's not going to be the right's fault. It's going to be the left's fault because they didn't pose a proper argument and understand the right's argument for being pro-life. And if you're pro-life, please tell me if I'm misrepresenting your argument, because I want to be on the same page so I can actually work with you and come to a resolution, because it's a very big problem, the clash between pro-life and pro-choicers. But tell me if my representation of your argument is wrong, when your argument is that you believe it's murder, and some of you, the religious group, you believe it's God's gift, so ending the pregnancy is a sin because it's murder to you, because it's a human life. That's all I could really understand. The main disagreement between the pro-lifers and the pro-choicers is a moral one. The same with, and bear with me on this analogy, it's the same as vegans and non-vegans, in that non-vegans don't view animals on the same par as humans, right? So pro-choicers don't view fetuses as the same par as, developed humans. I think pro-choicers that don't acknowledge that fetuses are human are fucking brain dead, because obviously it's a human life. It's just not a developed, viable one. But that's beside the point. My point is, you should represent your opponent's argument correctly. Otherwise, you're never going to change their mind. And if you don't want to change their mind, then you just need to shut the fuck up. Because why are you spouting stuff if you have no intention of actually trying to change people's minds? I actually want to change people's minds. Hence why I don't just spout bullshit. I actually try to understand my opponent's position and be like, hey, I understand you feel this way, but what about this? Or you have a discussion. I've had discussions with people I disagree with. And, we might not have always agreed in the end, but I didn't block them because I didn't like their opinion. Even, I don't care if it's a KKK Klansman, okay? You have to understand why they think the way they do to change the way they think. You can't just straw man them and think, this is going to bring justice and equality. It's not. I'm so done with everything. And oh my god, you people who think that, anyone who thinks the election was fair, please tell me why you think that. Is it because you saw it on the news? What evidence do you have that says it's fair? I don't understand when there's all this evidence saying the contrary. And I don't understand these people who are saying, there's no evidence of the F word that I can't say because YouTube is a bitch, of phoniness, of cheating, all that stuff. Because there's a fuck ton of evidence. And I legitimately cannot understand. because if you look at the numbers, none of it adds up. But, you know, if someone can explain to me why it was fair, that's fine. Because I honestly think if they were transparent, like the government should be, which they're never transparent, if they were transparent and was like, here, we'll reassess this, no, these are all valid votes, he actually did win, there would not be as much riots. Like, there would be the fringe people who still think it's fake, whatever. But there's just like a gut feeling, like this guy wasn't popular. Obama was popular. I don't have to love Obama to tell you he was popular. He had giant crowds. People loved him. Even Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton had amazingly big crowds. People liked them. Nobody likes Biden. Nobody wears his hat. Nobody, like, I see some yard signs, but you're going to look me in the eye and tell me people actually like him? People who voted for him only voted for him because they hate Trump, which is a fucking horrible reason to vote for someone. You should vote because of policies. Like, me and a bunch of other people that I regularly argue with, we're all from that same generation of people who, between high school and the end of high school, Obama was all we knew. I went to high school, I started in 2009, and I got out in 2012, which was all of Obama's term. And before that, I was a kid. I was in middle school, and nobody in middle school or elementary is really in politics, nor should they really be. They should just enjoy being a kid. So all we knew was Obama. So of course we're going to have some culture shock when now it's a Republican after the past 8 years of our life was a Democrat. And we're just learning about politics. You know, we're in our 20s. We don't know that much. We haven't had the experience of someone who's 50 who's gone through a few presidents to really say anything about it. But I just don't understand. And you can disagree with Trump's policies, but I mean, he got more done in 4 years than this fucking Biden guy has done. I've heard he's in office for like 47 years. What has he done? Just tell me what he's done that's good, and maybe I can come to common ground with you people, because he hasn't done anything, to my knowledge, that's of any substance. That's it. There's just no substance to it. And I just want to know how people are, like, justifying any of it. And I try to see the silver lining, because I'm not going to be a sore loser like the left would have been. And don't tell me that the left would have accepted the election if Trump had have somehow still won. They would have been rioting, and half the country would have burned down. Like, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong, and I'll concede. I'll shut up when I'm proven wrong. But nobody has stepped forward and been like, this is why you're wrong, this is the fact you stated, and here's the counter evidence. Nobody's done that, because they have no counter evidence. It's simply that's simple, and it's just so infuriating. I could go on and on and on, and I wanted to keep this on one topic, which was the Capitol riots and stuff, but it's hard to stay on track when there's just so much circular shit, and it's just all the same shit. But I mean, I guess my main point is just mostly a rant, so if you're still with me here, thank you. But I also think it's ridiculous that YouTube and all these big companies are censoring, like, the president and anyone who criticizes the election validity, because, I mean, they say, like, you can't say things about COVID or the election because it's misinformation and it's dangerous. You know how many videos of people that are up that are, like, promoting holistic medical treatments that are actually dangerous, like black sal, which will eat your fucking skin? They're like, this is a cancer treatment. That's still up. These idiots doing really dangerous prank videos are still up. All this stuff is still up. They're only attacking this because it's like a political thing. I honestly believe that all of these big technology companies are in on some weird, like, they're all on the same page, and I don't know why. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know, like, what the point is. Because any other circumstance, it's just an election. It's just 4 to 8 years. Unless somehow Biden, like, gets rid of the term limits on presidency, which I'm honestly scared. I honestly think this is different. Even though I haven't been through many elections, like I said, I think this election is different in that way. Trump must really be a threat, because he must know something. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. If he's wrong, why would they care? If anybody's wrong, why do you care? Just let it come to surface, and people will argue amongst themselves and come to a resolution. I don't really know, but also, yeah, again, if you block people because of political differences, you were never a friend. And I really don't care, because I've lost so many people in my life, and I moved 3,000 miles away. I'm starting over. I really, really do not care, because there's no point in caring. What am I going to do? Cry? Crying doesn't do anything. I've tried it. All it does is make you feel pathetic. Cry into soup? You ever cried into soup before? It's not fun, but it's really funny in hindsight. So I guess in a way I kind of recommend crying into soup. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. But I'm on this drive for about like 12 to 15 more hours, so I'll add whatever I think I'll add, I guess. But yeah. And you know, I have a question for anybody who doesn't take YouTube videos as evidence. And let me clarify by YouTube videos. I mean a video of, say, like a first-hand encounter, like, hey, I was there, like first-hand takes. If someone sends you that and you discount it as, oh, it's just a YouTube video, so it doesn't count, how do you think that media and reporters, you know, do their job, assuming they're doing it correctly and not just spreading lies? They take first-hand encounters and they are supposed to just report on them. For instance, okay, there was an accusation of Jane getting robbed. Here's Jane to hear from her point of view. Oh, the accused robber, his name is Tom. Here's his point of view. Like, it's just a point of view being told, but you discount it automatically. Are you that like scared of seeing what's the deal? Like, if it's not real, then why don't you just provide a counter argument and saying, you know, I saw the video, but what they said isn't right because of X, Y, Z. Like, that's literally how journalists are supposed to do things. The only difference is, instead of a news reporter reporting on it, it might be a YouTube commentator or just the raw video itself. So I don't get the argument that YouTube videos aren't credible because of the website suffix. Like, yeah, if it's just some crazy person talking about something with no sources, I can get that. But even then, like, sometimes I share videos because I think the person has good arguments. And I'm asking you to, like, look at their arguments so I don't have to type up a fucking transcript to make a point that you're not going to read. It's easier to watch a video. And I don't want to seem like it's, like, dumbing down, like, I have to watch the video because I don't want to read. Like I said, most of the time when I send somebody a video of something as evidence of something, it's a first-hand encounter of a thing. Like the video of that woman in the ballot office, and apparently she was admitting to fraud. I didn't really understand what was happening in that video. It was like a black lady with red hair, like that. Or videos of the Capitol siege with it's just people recording what's happening. And I'm asking people to look at that and say, you know, and as proof of, say, Antifa being there. Like, what do you make of this? Why are they saying no Antifa, no? Why do you think these people are doing that? Like, I want your opinion on that. Why is that not credible? Why are these videos not credible? I've heard people argue that the right should just, you know, get their own platform or whatever, and I disagree with that. They shouldn't have to, but they have, and it's they have a few different social media things that they've created. One is Parler, and the App Store, so Apple is actually censoring them. They're threatening to remove their app, again, something hate speech, something we don't like your opinion and we want a monopoly on politics, you know. So there's that, and I believe, I don't remember exactly who it was, I think it was Amazon who owns the servers that they're using for Parler. And I guess you could argue that they could get their own server room, but who really does that unless you're a bigger company? You start out using the big company's resources to make an app or a website, like GoDaddy or whatever, and then if you get big, then you can afford your own fucking server room. But most small startups cannot afford their own fucking server room. So it's unrealistic to say that they should just, you know, go do that. And you could also argue, oh, well, they could just go on the desktop website. Yeah, but realistically, look how our technology has evolved in our society. People don't want to go on a desktop. They want to flip open their phone while they're on the tram, you know, in the train, on the bus, and they want to go through their social media. if they can't access the app, they don't want to do the mobile site either, because usually mobile sites are very inconvenient to navigate on a mobile phone. If anyone has done that, you can, and I have, and it's really irritating. So it's just the convenience factor. You shouldn't have to jump through all these hoops just to go view an app. You shouldn't have to be like, oh, we'll just go to the mobile site. Like, why are they not allowed to have their space on social media? Tell me it's not just a giant censoring of all their opinions. Like, come on, man. Another thing on people giving evidence and sources is people say I'm not giving, and by people I mean like a specific person and I guess a couple others, sure. They say that you don't have sources or good sources. I don't know what a good source is, but they also have not provided any sources. And the couple times someone has quote unquote provided a source, it links to a website and the website just says there's no evidence. That's not a source, okay? That's not evidence that there was a fair election. Evidence of a fair election would be like, we audited it, we compared the signatures, there were no signatures that didn't match, and there were no people who voted that were dead. But even then, it's kind of hard to prove a negative, because they could have just not counted them and lied. Whereas the opposite, if there is evidence, they could like hold up the fucking pile of ballots and go through them and be like, look at this person is dead. Look at this, these signatures don't match. It's incredibly hard to prove a negative, which is why this whole situation is just so fucking convenient for the left. Like, if anybody has a source that had like an actual audit done, which I don't think there was, I'd love to see it so I can actually be okay with Biden, but I don't think that's going to happen. Can we concentrate on the objective reasons people do things? Just to maybe get somewhere for once, instead of strawmanning everybody all the time. Because the objective reason that Trump supporters were at the Capitol is because they believe that the election was rigged and that the Democrats cheated. They were there to protest the election results and try to get a recount or some kind of acknowledgement. That's why they were there. They weren't there just because Trump said so. I mean, he gave them the idea of where to go, sure. But the reason they were there was to protest the election. The same as Black Lives Matter protest because they believe that there is a targeting and killing of black people by police. That's the reason that they protest. Okay? They're not there because someone told them to do it. Yes, it might have been organized, but they didn't just like have like one person say, go do this and burn the city. No. They organized it. And they're, I believe, the peaceful protests at least, they started with the reason of, police brutality and blacks being targeted, whatever. That's the reason. You don't have to agree with the reason. You don't have to think it's true. But that's the objective reason. So we need to stop having all these scapegoats. Like, oh, it's Trump's fault. Everything is just Trump's fault. It's like, no. Take responsibility for shit. That's to the right and the left. Because, even on the right, we blame everything on the left. But there's objective reasons for things happening. And it's really aggravating. Because if you strawman people, like I said, like if you don't get the argument correct, you're not going to get anywhere. And if you don't know why they're doing what they're doing and the real reason that they believe that, you cannot change their minds and you cannot make any progress. So, for the love of God, just look at objective reasons why people do things.